Can trees talk to each other? Hello beautiful people, Sky here. I'm coming with you today with a video where I will be analyzing, critiquing and discussing the writing and rhetoric of a Mr. Richard Grant on his article, Do Trees Talk to Each Other? I've got to tell you guys, I've been asking myself this question for way too long, and I finally stumbled upon this article that spoke to me, made me read and finally understand. I was taken aback by his writing so much that I wanted to share it with you all, what I found so gripping and unique, and what I found this inspired me so much that I hope can inspire you too. First, let's set the stage. I did some digging, I'm gonna admit I got all stalkery on the poor guy, but I needed to check his credibility and make sure that what I was gonna read was legit. And to be fair, I found only good stuff. That Richard Grant is an author, journalist, and television host. He writes for the Smithsonian, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Telegraph UK. So you see he writes for a lot of platforms that are known for being reliable, and you also see a diversity in the subjects that he writes about. So you see American nomads, travels with lost conquistadors, mountain men, cowboys, Indians. He has quite this open mind, this adventurous sense about him. Even without the background check, though, Grant knew how to show his reliability. In the first few paragraphs, he introduces, you could say, the main character or source of his article. He calls him a kind of tree whisperer, Peter Wohlleben. Here I'm thinking this guy is some sort of hippie, but straight away he talks about how he's a publishing sensation. His book, The Hidden Life of Trees, What They Feel, How They Communicate, sold more than 800,000 copies in Germany, and now is a best-selling list on 11 other countries in the United States and Canada. Okay, now I'm thinking this guy is real. He's cool. And when I see the name of the book he's published, The Hidden Life of Trees, I had one of those moments. I had read the book. I have. It was absolutely incredible. I loved it. And it opened my eyes to a whole nother world of possibilities. Totally recommend it. Not a promotional video, just true recommendation. Anyway, the author linked the book onto his article. So here's the link, and it's on Amazon and you see, but what is great about this is that not only is it promoting Peter Wohlleben and giving this readers a chance to buy his book, but it's also showing his credibility. You see he's a #1 bestseller and over 2,000 ratings, pretty much a 5-star. In addition, he gives a little bit more on Wohleben's past, which I think is really a nice addition to it, because it's not what you expect. It says Wohlleben used to be a cold-hearted butcher of trees and forest. His training dictated it, and this was his role as a forester. But it changed, he changed for the better, to preserve the trees, to save them. And after that, he went on to help villages turn their forests into nature preserves instead of cutting them down. It was a great addition of the author to add this. It showed this character development. Many of the people reading this article could be foresters or have some related career, and this could act as an inspiration, a moment of change that could happen to them as well. On this note, it was very important to look at the audience the author is trying to reach. Being interested in trees is not for everyone. For me, it's a passion, but for others, it may seem boring. However, that is the purpose of this article, to make others appreciate trees and be open to the idea that they can communicate. He also makes his argument more global as he discusses how studies about tree communication are coming out of China, Australia, the United States, the United Kingdom, and South Africa. It's also showing that it's not just one person, it's a global movement. It's of global importance. Along with trying to reach a larger audience, he tries to engage them. The author uses very specific diction and figurative language to discuss trees and how they communicate. Right from the start, within the first few sentences, he grabs the reader. He begins with this, I'm walking in the Eiffel Mountains in Western Germany, and right away you're there with him, you're walking with him. It's that pull. And then with the simile, through a cathedral like rows of oak, you have this religious moment of silence for these beauties. And then bringing in this unmoored feeling of entering a fairy tale, and you're transported to a new time. And the trees are vibrantly alive and charged with wonder in tremendous struggles and death-defying dramas. I mean, these trees, they're human, they're real to us. It's emotion, it's power. By personifying the trees in this way, the reader is able to see them in a new light and to feel a connection to the trees as they would with a human character. The quote from Wohlleben, every quote, even from Suzanne Simard, who is a friend of Wohlleben and does similar research, all fit in with his tone and bring something more to the table. And the author does a good job about balancing this out and not making it too much on the emotional side.
So here you have these graduate students. First you have Amanda Say studying kin recognition, and here she discusses how among the root tips of unrelated seedlings and seems to favor them with carbon sent through the mycorrhizal networks. And then you have Alan LaCroix, who's isolating salmon nitrogen isotopes in fungal samples and seeing how actually it's transmitted between trees and how they bring it into each other in like this fish forest fungi system. And so here you have this more scientific jargon that's more specific to trees and these networks that are occurring.
At this point, the author has made a pretty solid argument that trees are making these connections. They do have the ability to send signals and to simply put it to taste and to smell. As all Grace journalists do, the author brings in the opposing side, as many scientists are not on board with this.
Here the author brings in quotes, another scientist who's pushing against this and says, "The mother tree protecting its little ones," he says with gentle scorn. "It's so anthropomorphized that it's really not helpful. The case is overstated and suffused with vitalism. They solve problems, but it's all under hormonal control and evolved through natural selection." I'm sorry, but this guy at this point sounds like a jerk. There's no life to his words. And it's funny that he uses this word, anthropomorphized, because previously the author had talked about it's because of how Wohlleben did this to the words and the phrases and made them human that he was able to see forests in a new light and appreciate them so much.
And the difference between how scientists are writing determines so much. It is the writing that's packed with emotion and feeling to describe the trees that people are going to listen to, not the inhuman one. I love trees. The idea of them communicating excites me. When I'm given statistics and facts on the different way that filaments bind to the receptors and the xylem and the phloem work, I get bored and I lose interest. I'm going to straight up admit it. But the way that the author presents this information and discusses trees, it's a storytelling. It's what fills my imagination and passion for this subject. It's what got me into it in the first place. Language is power. Writing has the ability to shape minds and inspire change, as this article has done for me, and I really hope it can do that for you too. In one part of the article, the author mentions how we don't ask good questions about the interconnectedness of forests because we're all trained as reductionists. And I find it almost ironic how I'm sitting here analyzing every word and phrase, picking this article apart bit by bit, when as a whole, every bit of information, every phrase and anecdote and quote gives the article soul and depth. And it is time that we appreciate things, that we appreciate writing, art, nature for what they are, their spirit, their interconnectedness, their message as a whole. Especially in a time where the Earth is so rapidly warming and climate change is drastically worsening, we must speak for the trees. We must make them heard in any way that we can, any way that will make a difference. So I really hope you guys go read this article and that you really look into this new way of talking, this new way of speaking, and appreciate it. Understand, go outside, be in nature, it's amazing when you step out of the house, get off your phone, and I really hope you can all appreciate that too. So anyway, until next time, click the link below. I have attached the Amazon link to it just like they did in the article, so please take a look. Also, any other book recommendations, I'm happy to recommend. There's so many great ones out there. So yeah, just message me and I'll help out in any way I can. Bye!